Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour, President Draupadi Murmu to address the nation at 7 p.m. IST on the eve of India's 77th Republic Day, to be broadcast across Doordarshan network. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in 130th episode of his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat at 11 a.m. IST. With no indication of any breakthrough in 4 years of conflict, 2 days of trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and US conclude in Abu Dhabi. Tensions appear to escalate between Trump and Carney after US President threatens Canada with 100% tariff over pending trade deal with China. And in cricket, red-hot India set sights on T20 series triumph against New Zealand in Guwahati. President Draupadi Murmu to address the nation on the eve of the 77th Republic Day. The address will be broadcast from 7 p.m. IST on the entire national network of Akashvani and telecast over all channels of Doordarshan in Hindi, followed by the English version. Broadcast of the address in Hindi and English on Doordarshan will be followed by broadcast in regional languages by regional channels of Doordarshan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. IST today. It will be the 130th episode of the monthly radio program. The program will be broadcast across the entire Akashvani and Doordarshan network. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of DD News, DD India, the PMO and the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. The program will telecast in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. Moving on, India's invitation to European Council President Antonio Costa and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen for a state visit from January 25th to 27th underscores the government's intent to elevate India-EU relations as a core pillar of its global and European strategy. Antonio Costa was scheduled to land in the national capital on Sunday. The two EU leaders will grace the Republic Day celebrations as the chief guests on January 26th. EU leaders will hold summit talks with Prime Minister Modi in New Delhi on January 27th. At the summit, India and the EU are set to announce the conclusion of the much-awaited free trade agreement. India and the European Union are close to sealing a historic free trade agreement. The two sides are already leading trading partners, and the FTA represents a win-win opportunity for both the sides. Here's more.
Are on the cusp of a historic trade agreement. Indeed, some call it the mother of all deals. One that would create a market of 2 billion people, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, highlighting how the EU and India are on the verge of a historic free trade agreement. India and the European Union are in the final stages of negotiating an FTA that is expected to significantly boost India's exports and diversify its trade amid growing global protectionism. EU is India's largest goods trading partner, accounting for trade worth $136 billion in 2024-25. EU accounts for 17% of India's total exports. Exports to EU are worth $76 billion and imports from EU are worth $60 billion. India-EU FTA provides a win-win opportunity to both sides. India is among the world's fastest growing economies. Its 1.4 billion strong population offers EU a vast and expanding market, increasing exports of capital EU industries like aircraft, automobiles, electrical machinery, beverages, and chemicals. India will gain access to a large, stable market across 27 EU countries, boosting exports in sectors like pharmaceuticals, engineering goods, automotive components, electronics, and others. India is also seeking more access for its professionals and export of IT services. Since FTA negotiations began in 2007, India and the EU are close to sealing the landmark deal. Shubhendu Ghosh for DD India.
And India is not only one of the fastest rising economies but also has ascended as trusted symbol of global development, support and stability today. Now, the much-awaited India-EU FTA, being termed as the mother of all deals, is likely to be announced anytime, an important development from the perspective of economic diplomacy.
Redefining development, India has left an indomitable mark of a confident, strong and self-reliant nation. Today, not only India is a fast-growing economy, but also a symbol of development, cooperation and stability for the world. In fact, India and EU are very close to finalizing the India-European Union Free Trade Agreement, also being termed as mother of all deals. It is expected to be announced during the India-EU summit scheduled in New Delhi on January 27. Apart from this, discussions are underway regarding the trade agreements with Peru and Chile, fast-forwarding India towards the goal of Viksit Bharat. Three important agreements concluded in 2025 were the India-New Zealand FTA, the India-Oman FTA, and the India-UK FTA. India-New Zealand FTA, one of the fastest concluding FTAs, which will provide better market access to India's exports and cess exemptions. Also, this will open doors to the vast markets of Oceania and Pacific Island nations. This will provide an opportunity to India's trained workforce as a major supplier, and in future, it will strengthen cooperation in various fields. Talking about India-Oman CEPA, the deepening economic cooperation between both nations will play an important role in growth and development. The Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement was signed during Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Oman visit. Apart from this, the historic India-UK FTA concluded in July 2025 will also bring in lots of opportunities for Indian exporters, states and MSMEs. The FTA has turned a new page of economic cooperation between both nations. During last few years under the leadership of PM Modi, India has signed various major agreements which are proving beneficial to farmers, traders and exporters. India-EFTA Trade Economic Partnership Agreement with Switzerland, Norway, Iceland and Liechtenstein, 2024. India-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, 2022. India-Australia Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, 2022. India-Mauritius Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, 2021. The growing number of agreements highlights India's far-sighted trade policy, which is based on diversification, flexibility, and mutually beneficial development. Along with the economy of the nation, these agreements will also increase the employment opportunities. India's progress strides towards becoming world's third largest economy, growing GDP, and these important trade agreements with various nations are testaments of the fact that India is not just a growing economy, but is a prominent force that's guiding the global economic scenario. Bureau Report, DD India.
And India Energy Week 2026 begins on January 27 in Goa, bringing global energy leaders together to discuss energy security, investments and decarbonization. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya with this report.
India Energy Week 2026 is set to kick off from January 27 to 30th in Goa, bringing together the world's energy leaders at a crucial moment for the global energy transition. The first major international energy event of the year, IEW 2026, will focus on energy security, investments and decarbonization pathways.
This is the fourth edition in 2026. We had one in 23, 24, 25, 3 years, and this is the fourth one. I think IEW has come to occupy a unique position in the global energy calendar. Here we will be dealing with not only the traditional fossil fuel, but the transition biofuels in a very big way, green hydrogen in a very big way, CBG in a big way. But more than the sustainability canvas and the other areas, what is unique about IEW is it brings together a very large number of people.
With over 75,000 participants, 600 exhibitors and 120 plus conference sessions, the platform continues to grow bigger every year. Ministers and delegates from more than a dozen countries, global CEOs, policymakers and tech leaders will take part. The event will feature 11 thematic zones, including new nuclear and sustainable aviation fuel zones, alongside strong emphasis on Make in India and net zero goals.
I think the strength of the IEW lies essentially, as indeed the strength of the other global platforms, in being able to conduct serious discussion between young entrepreneurs, innovators, startups, established energy suppliers, established energy buyers, new entrants into the energy field in a very stable environment, planning ahead.
India Energy Week 2026 will also witness major business agreements, strategic dialogues, startup challenges, and key global energy reports, positioning India firmly at the center of the global energy conversation. Tapush Bhattacharya's report for DD India.
All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Federal agents shoot a man in Minneapolis during immigration enforcement operation. Clashes erupt after shooting. Syria extends ceasefire with Kurdish forces by 15 days. And final round of Myanmar votes set to seal junta allies' victory.
One of India's newest states, one of India's oldest lands. Jharkhand is a hidden.
Take a front seat to witness the grandeur.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you. You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Every time I open my wardrobe, I wonder how many of these clothes do I actually need? So today, let's step into a world where our fashion does not have to come at the cost of the environment.
We make sure that we don't waste a single piece of clothing. We use up all the scraps as well, gathering them into balls and making different products with them.
Consumers think that if they don't buy it now, they're going to regret it tomorrow.
Instead of having a linear thing where you produce something that never degrades and then you just end up having it in the landfill, you biosource it, you use it, and then it biodegrades and gets back to nature.
We use natural dyes for the garments. We extract the dye the way our ancestors did by using natural products with some modifications.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Ukraine and Russia ended a second day of US brokered talks in Abu Dhabi on Saturday without a deal, but with more talks expected next weekend. Statements after the conclusion of the talks indicate that no agreements had been reached, but Moscow and Kyiv both said they were open to further dialogue. A UAE government spokesperson said there was face-to-face engagement between Ukraine and Russia, rare in almost 4-year-old conflict triggered by a full-scale Russian invasion, and negotiators tackled outstanding elements of Washington's peace framework. Meanwhile, the bombardment of Ukraine's capital Kiev and its second-largest city Kharkiv by hundreds of Russian drones and missiles prompted Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha was not at the talks to accuse Putin of acting cynically. After Putin's demand that Ukraine surrender the 20% it still holds of Donetsk has proven a major stumbling block to any deal. Most countries recognize Donetsk as part of Ukraine. Putin says Donetsk is part of Russia's historical lands. While Zelensky has ruled out giving up territory that Russia has not been able to capture in 4 years of grinding attritional warfare against a much smaller foe. Polls show little appetite among Ukrainians for any territorial concessions. Now, tensions between the United States and its northern neighbor have grown in recent days as US President Donald Trump on Saturday said he would impose a 100% tariff on Canada if it makes a trade deal with China. Taking to his social media post, Trump warned Prime Minister Mark Carney that the deal would endanger his country and said if Canada makes a deal with China, it will immediately be hit with a 100% tariff against all Canadian goods and products coming into the USA. Following Trump's comment, Carney is urging Canadians to buy domestic products to protect the country's economy from global economic threats. This move signals a shift towards focusing on local business rather than relying heavily on international trade. During a recent visit to China, Carney also called the Asian superpower a reliable and predictable partner, and at Davos encouraged European leaders to seek investment from the world's second largest economy. Trump on Thursday withdrew an invitation for Canada to join his Board of Peace initiative aimed at resolving global conflicts. Now, law enforcement and protesters clashed on the streets of Minnesota's Minneapolis on Saturday after a man was shot dead by federal immigration agents during immigration enforcement operation. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, however, said that the border patrol agent fired in defense after attempting to disarm the man who was armed with a handgun and 2 magazines.
During this operation, an individual approached U.S. Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The agents attempted to disarm the individual, but he violently resisted. Fearing for his life and the lives and safety of fellow officers, a Border Patrol agent fired defensive shots.
Following the unrest, Minneapolis Police Chief urged citizens to remain peaceful.
We urge everyone to remain peaceful. We recognize that there is a lot of anger and a lot of questions around what has happened, but we need people to remain peaceful. In the area, we have an unlawful assembly at this time. We are asking for people to avoid the area and to leave if you are there.
All right, moving now to the developments from West Asia. 4-day ceasefire between the Syrian government and Kurdish forces, which expired on Saturday night, has been extended by 15 days, offering a respite amid mounting tensions. The pause in fighting comes after government troops took control of large areas in northern and eastern Syria from the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces over the past 2 weeks, strengthening President Ahmed al-Shara's hold on power. Earlier this week, Shara announced the ceasefire as his forces closed in on the last SDF strongholds. He gave the Kurds a deadline to disarm and agree to join Syria's army or face renewed fighting. Both sides accuse each other of preparing for escalation, but late Saturday, Syria's defense ministry said military operations would stop for another 15 days. The SDF said the ceasefire was reached through international mediation and that talks with Damascus are continuing. Now, tensions between the United States and Iran are escalating as Washington ramps up military pressure and fresh sanctions, while Tehran issues stark warnings of an all-out response to any attack. The developments come amid growing international outrage over Iran's deadly crackdown of nationwide protest. Rupa Kumar Jha has more information.
US Department of Treasury has mounted pressure on Iranian regime by announcing sanctions on 9 vessels and 8 firms linked to Iran's so-called shadow fleet. US Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent said the measures target a key revenue stream used by Tehran to finance internal repression. He added that the Treasury Department will continue tracking tens of millions of dollars the Iranian government has allegedly diverted and is attempting to transfer to foreign banks. The sanctions come as the US military prepares to deploy an aircraft carrier, a strike group and additional warship to the Middle East. President Donald Trump said an armada was heading towards Iran while warning Tehran against killing protesters or restarting its nuclear program. Iran responded with its strongest warning yet, saying any US attack, limited or otherwise, could be treated as an all-out war. Besides, UN rights body condemned Iran on Friday for rights abuses and mandated an investigation into a recent crackdown on anti-government protests that killed thousands of people. At an emergency session of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, High Commissioner Volker Turk called on Iranian authorities to end mass arrest and violence against demonstrators.
I call on the Iranian authorities to reconsider, to pull back, and to end their brutal repression, including summary trials and disproportionate sentences. I call for the immediate release of all those arbitrarily detained by the Iranian authorities. And I call for a complete moratorium on the death penalty. I urge the government to end the internet and communications shutdown and to stop using this as a systematic practice.
Iran rejected the session as illegitimate and accused the United States and Israel of interference. 25 states, including France, Mexico and South Korea, voted in favor, while 7 voted against and 14 abstained. Rupa Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Now, Myanmar opened the final round of its month-long election on Sunday, with the dominant pro-military party expected to win by a large margin, extending the army's hold on power. The election's third and final phase opened in dozens of constituencies across the country on Sunday. The army-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party has already won most of the seats contested in the first 2 rounds of voting. 25% of the seats in the upper and lower houses of the National Parliament are reserved for the military, guaranteeing it and its allies control of the legislature. Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, who heads the current military government, is widely expected by both supporters and opponents to assume the presidency when the new parliament meets. Now, let's understand that why is Myanmar holding an election. The military ousted the elected government of Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi in a February 2021 coup, just as it was preparing for a second term in office following a landslide election win months before. The generals promised to restore the democratic system and accused Suu Kyi and her National League for Democracy Party of electoral fraud, a charge that she rejected. Suu Kyi and much of the NLD were detained along with thousands of junta opponents. The military pledged an election by August 2023 but pushed back the date as it lost control of swathes of country in battles with ethnic minority rebels and anti-junta militias. The NLD was among dozens of parties dissolved for failing to register for the election, and rebels refused to take part. All right, moving on now. Thousands of people protested in Albania's capital Tirana on Saturday in a second anti-government rally in recent weeks. The protest followed the indictment of Deputy Prime Minister Belinda Baluku over alleged corruption. Protesters hurled petrol bombs at a government building housing the office of Prime Minister Edi Rama, calling for the administration's resignation. Police in riot gear used tear gas and water cannons to break up the crowd. Tensions in the Balkan nation have been rising since last month following allegations that Deputy Prime Minister Belinda Baluku, along with several officials and private companies, misused state funds to favour certain firms in major infrastructure projects. Baluku has dismissed the accusations and has pledged full cooperation with the judiciary. The Guatemalan government has stepped up police and military patrols in Guatemala City after a wave of coordinated gang attacks killed at least 9 police officers last week. Soldiers and police set up checkpoints across the capital on Saturday, stopping vehicles and motorbikes for inspections. Troops worked alongside K9 units to search cars, while armoured units and patrol sped through streets and neighbourhoods. The conflict began on January 18 when inmates linked to a gang took 46 guards hostage at 3 prisons, demanding greater privileges. Violence escalated after authorities regained control of a prison holding the gang's leader. Now, the World Health Organization said it regrets that the US has officially withdrawn from the UN Health Agency and it hopes Washington returns to active participation in the future. In a post on X, WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom said unfortunately the reasons cited for the US decision to withdraw from WHO are untrue, stressing that the UN Health Agency had always engaged with the US and all member states with full respect for their sovereignty. The US left the organization on Thursday after a year of warnings that doing so would hurt public health in the US and globally. President Donald Trump's administration has criticized the way the WHO handled the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump also criticized what it described as an unfair financial burden on the US, saying it paid far more than other countries, including China, without receiving fair treatment in return. Now, authorities in Indonesia are continuing search and rescue operations after a deadly landslide struck West Java province. At least 10 people have been killed, while more than 80 remain still missing. Police confirmed that multiple bodies have been recovered from the debris and identification of the victims is underway. Search operations were temporarily halted as heavy rainfall made conditions unsafe for rescuers. Officials say the operation will resume on Sunday with additional teams expected to join the effort. Meanwhile, Indonesia's weather agency has issued warnings of extreme weather across West Java, forecasting heavy rainfall for several days. Officials have urged residents in vulnerable areas to remain alert as the risk of further landslides remain high. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. As winter storm approaches Atlanta, animal shelters across the city are urging residents to open their homes to protect vulnerable dogs from freezing temperatures and overcrowded conditions. Shelter officials said even one night outside a cage can offer dogs a safer, calmer environment as they wait for permanent homes. Bolivians gathered outside a church in La Paz to buy miniature houses, cars, banknotes and even green cards during Alasita, the annual Aymara festival of abundance. The tradition is linked to Ekeko, the god of prosperity, whom believers say blesses the offerings and helps turn their wishes into reality. All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India celebrates National Voters' Day today, a day that honors the strength of our democracy and reminds every citizen of the power of their vote. After the break, we'll get you updates on the preparations for the 77th Republic Day. And a severe winter storm strikes parts of US, leading to more than 100,000 power outages, thousands of flight cancellations.
Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe. focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative. From current affairs to culture, from economic growth to sustainable development and the ever-evolving world order, DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India. India's voice to the world.
Always welcoming. The vibe of Punjab is larger than life. Warm up to grandeur that's beyond compare. And history that's dotted with tales of bravery. Smiling soul of India, where music, art, cuisine and culture comes together to create an unforgettable impression. Punjab is all set to win your hearts with its unique and colorful extravaganza.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of our top stories. President Draupadi Murmu to address the nation at 7 p.m. IST on the eve of India's 77th Republic Day, to be broadcast on the DAR network of Doordarshan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts on 130th episode of his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat at 11 a.m. IST. With no indication of any breakthrough in 4 years of conflict, 2 days of trilateral talks between Russia, Ukraine and US conclude in Abu Dhabi. Tensions appear to escalate between Trump and Carney after US President threatens Canada with 100% tariff over pending trade deal with China. And in cricket, red-hot India set sights on T20 series triumph against New Zealand in Guwahati. Today, 25th January, India is celebrating National Voters' Day, a day that honours the strength of our democracy and reminds every citizen of the power of their vote. Here's a report.
National Voters' Day is not just a date on the calendar. Rather, it is a reminder that democracy survives and thrives when citizens actively participate in the electoral process. On this day, the nation acknowledges the importance of voting as a constitutional right, as well as a civic responsibility. The Election Commission of India, through National Voters' Day, aims to promote voter awareness and strengthen the culture of informed voting. The day also focuses on encouraging new voters, especially young citizens who have recently turned 18, to get registered and become part of the democratic journey of the country. The Election Commission of India plays a crucial role in ensuring that elections remain free, fair, transparent, and peaceful across the country. From preparing accurate electoral rolls to ensuring smooth polling day arrangements, the Commission works at every level to strengthen public trust in the electoral system. In recent years, the Election Commission has taken multiple steps to improve voter convenience, such as simplifying voter registration processes, increasing awareness through outreach programs, and strengthening polling infrastructure to ensure a comfortable and secure voting experience for citizens. Special focus has also been given to inclusive participation, making voting more accessible for women voters, senior citizens, persons with disabilities, and voters in remote areas. On National Voters' Day, the first-time voters are welcomed and the voters who have contributed towards strengthening democratic participation are also recognized. The day serves as a celebration of democratic spirit and also a call to action, encouraging every eligible citizen to ensure their name is on the voter list and to participate in elections without fear, favor and influence. Kriti Vadera's report for DD India.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on the occasion of National Voters' Day. PM also penned a letter to My Bharat volunteers on how we all must rejoice when someone around us has enrolled as a voter. He wrote, and this is what he wrote, and
greetings to
the
you,
letter.
your family and friends on National Voters' Day. I'm happy to connect with you as a fellow citizen who takes great pride in Indian democracy. Often people describe India as the world's largest democracy, and that is correct. At the same time, we also take pride in the fact that India is the mother of democracy, with a history of democratic values that stretches back through the centuries. Democracy, debate and dialogue are deeply embedded in our civilization. This year, we mark 75 years since the beginning of the first general election of India in 1951. This election, which concluded in 1952, illustrated the inherent democratic spirit of the people of India. To be a voter is the greatest privilege and responsibility in a democracy. Voting is a sacred constitutional right and a mark of participation in Bharat's future. The voter is the Bhagya Vidhata of our development journey. That indelible ink on a finger is a badge of honor that ensures our democracy remains vibrant and purposeful. Many youngsters among your friends or relatives may be first-time voters. This is a moment of great significance for them. Our first-time voters should be welcomed into democracy as individuals who hold the power to transform the destiny of our country. Today, I call upon all of you to celebrate when you or a person around you becomes a voter for the first time. At home and in our residential societies, we can celebrate the same by sharing sweets. Our schools and colleges have a vital role to play as nurseries of democratic values. I encourage them to celebrate this milestone of youth becoming first-time voters, perhaps through ceremonies that recognize students reaching voting age and make them feel truly special as they step into this new responsibility. Our school and college campuses can also be hubs for movements that ensure every eligible youth is enrolled as a voter. 25th January, which is National Voters' Day, is an ideal occasion to conduct all the above activities every year. To the world, the scale of our elections is a logistical achievement. To us, in addition to being about logistics, elections are a festival of democracy where we all come together to celebrate the importance of being a voter. The people's commitment to voting is so deep that whether they live high in the Himalayas, in the islands of Andaman and Nicobar, in deserts or in dense forest, they turn up to ensure their voice is heard. This commitment to democratic ideals will motivate us for times to come. I also want to emphasize that the participation of our Nari Shakti, especially young women, is crucial for an inclusive democracy. Their awareness and active involvement have strengthened the foundations of Bharat. Your association with the Mera Yuva Bharat or My Bharat platform reflects a commitment to serve and to lead. You belong to a generation that does not wait for things to happen, but actively participates in making things happen with a can-do spirit. You can spread awareness about the importance of becoming a voter. Let us resolve to make every effort towards strengthening our democracy and creating a developed, inclusive and self-reliant Bharat. Once again, my greetings to you on National Voters' Day.
Moving on, Union Home Minister and Minister of Cooperation Amit Shah has extended his heartfelt best wishes to all the citizens of the country on National Voters' Day. In a post on X, Amit Shah said, and I quote him here, This day reminds us that our Constitution has given every voter equal power and the right vote can show our nation the right direction. It is our moral responsibility to safeguard our voting system and ensure that no external factor can pollute it. May on this day we recommit ourselves to the pledge to align the power of our votes to build a developed and powerful India, unquote. Meanwhile, Union Minister Kiran Rijiju met a senior delegation from the government of South Korea in New Delhi. The delegation included President of the Administrative Council, Director of International Affairs, Director of Education and Director of Cultural Affairs of South Korea. The meeting provided a platform for meaningful exchanges on cultural cooperation, education initiatives and shared civilizational values. The discussions also underscored the importance of fostering mutual understanding and strengthening bilateral partnerships between India and South Korea. Union Minister Kiran Rijiju met a senior Russian delegation at his residence in New Delhi. The delegation included officials from the Republic of Kalmykia, spiritual leaders and members of the Russian embassy in India. The meeting provided a platform to exchange views on cultural cooperation, spiritual heritage and strengthening people-to-people links between India and Russia. The two-day second Global Buddhist Summit was organized by the International Buddhist Confederation in collaboration with the Ministry of Culture in New Delhi on 24th and 25th January. The summit was attended by Union Minister for Parliamentary Affairs and Minority Affairs Kiran Rijiju along with senior dignitaries, monks, scholars and international delegates. Highlighting India's global leadership in promoting Buddhist dialogue, Union Minister for Culture and Tourism Gajendra Singh Shekhawat noted that since Prime Minister Narendra Modi assumed office as Prime Minister, India has taken proactive responsibility in providing an international platform for Buddhist monks, gurus, scholars and thinkers, reinforcing the nation's enduring commitment to peace and harmony.
For the past few years, under the active leadership of the Ministry of Culture, under guidance of Prime Minister Modi ji, and in partnership with IBC, and our diplomatic missions, India has organized international expositions of the sacred relics of Lord Buddha in Thailand, in Vietnam, and recently in Russia and Bhutan. These efforts reaffirm India's role as a custodian of shared Buddhist heritage and as a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern global dialogue.
All right, on to some weather updates now. The India Met Department has issued multiple weather alerts as changing conditions are expected across several regions of the country. Thunderstorms with heavy rain likely to affect Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal on Sunday. Also dense to very dense fog is reported in parts of Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi and Odisha during morning and night hours. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall has eased in Himachal Pradesh, but normal life remains disrupted across several regions. Over 680 roads, including 2 national highways, remain closed, while power and water supply have been badly affected in the region. The IMD has warned of fresh snowfall and rain with a yellow alert issued for next 2 days. Jammu-Srinagar National Highway 44 still closed for the 3rd consecutive day. Efforts are on to resume the traffic on this highway. More than 4,000 flights were cancelled in the US on Saturday ahead of a severe winter storm. Major US airlines warned passengers to stay alert for abrupt flight changes and cancellations. Power cut has left more than 160,000 customers without electricity. More than 150 million Americans were under some form of weather emergency, notices from the National Weather Service. The U.S. National Weather Service warned of an unusually expansive and long-duration winter storm that will bring widespread heavy ice accumulation in the southeast U.S. and cited. In response to the severe conditions, President Trump has put emergency declarations for 10 states, including Tennessee, Georgia and North Carolina. Authorities urge everyone to prioritize their safety, stay sheltered and warm. Montreal pedestrians react to the polar cold wave that hit the city, with temperatures hitting minus 24 degrees Celsius with the wind chill. Weather officials warn people to limit time outside while city services open warming centers for those in need. The extreme cold is expected to continue, with authorities urging caution, especially for children, the elderly and the homeless. Residents bundle up in heavy coats, hats and gloves as icy winds swept through the city, making short trips outdoors uncomfortable and dangerous. Now it's time to get you all the latest on the preparations for the 77th Republic Day celebrations. The Secretary of Information and Broadcasting Ministry visited the Doordarshan control room at the Kartavya Path. Doordarshan has made special arrangements for the live streaming of the Republic Day parade in 4K resolution on its OTT platform Waves. Radio India's correspondent Vishal Barristo reports.
Information and Broadcasting Secretary Sanjay Jaju visited the Doordarshan control room set up at Kartavya Path to take stock of the preparations. He was accompanied by the Director General of Doordarshan. This time, DD is streaming the entire coverage in 4K resolution on its OTT platform Waves. More than 50 cameras are covering the Republic Day parade on 26th January.
Doordarshan and All India Radio have made elaborate arrangements for ensuring that people from across the country are able to watch the parade right from Kartavya Path. We have made elaborate arrangements, close to about 50 cameras, as well as the entire telecast is going to be 4K, which is going to be also put out on the Waves OTT.
2 well-equipped OB vans have been deployed at the Kartavya Path.
इस बार हम पूरी कवरेज राष्ट्रपति भवन से लेके और कर्तव्य पथ और वॉर मेमोरियल तीनों जगह हमारी 4K सेटअप लगा है और हम लेटेस्ट 4K कवरेज से पूरा कवर कर रहे हैं.
More than 50 cameras have been placed to cover every angle from Rashtrapati Bhavan to the Kartavya Path.
जो भी परेड सामने से आएगी उनके शॉट्स बनाना है, उनके लॉन्ग शॉट्स बनाना है, उनके जो भी एज पर रिक्वायर्ड पैनल से जो रिक्वायरमेंट आती है उस हिसाब से हम लोग यहाँ शॉट देते हैं. तो यहाँ बड़ा अहम रोल होता है.
कर्तव्य पथ का जो जाइजेंटिक जो व्यू है वो इस क्रेन से हम लोग दे रहे हैं. टोटल कंटिजेंट का पासिंग आउट परेड सब यहीं से जो लॉन्ग शॉट जो है मैग्निफिकेशन शॉट इससे मिलता है.
The weather gods have not been very kind this time, but a backup arrangement has been put in place to meet any eventuality.
ये पूरा स्ट्रेच जो है राष्ट्रपति भवन से लेके NWM तक करीब 3.5-4 किलोमीटर का स्ट्रेच होता है. ये पूरा इंटायर कवरेज करने के लिए भी हम लोग जनरली 3 सेटअप लगाते हैं और उन तीनों सेटअप को आपस में कनेक्ट करना होता है क्योंकि 40 से 50 कैमरे 50 प्लस कैमरे लगते हैं. तो उन सबको इंटीग्रेट करके हमें ये कवरेज देना होता है. और फिर ऊपर से जो आप लोग को पता है कि रिहर्सल के टाइम में कितनी बारिश हुई उसको भी हमने ध्यान में रखते हुए हमने कंटीजेंसी अरेंजमेंट किए हैं कि जैसे हमारी कवरेज स्मूथ हो, कोई दिक्कत ना आए.
Doordarshan is the public broadcaster that telecasts the Republic Day event every year. Vishal Barristo's report for DD India.
Keelong, the administrative headquarters of the Lahore and Spiti district in Himachal Pradesh, gearing up for the Republic Day celebrations. Police personnel battling with bone-chilling winds, showcasing great enthusiasm for the upcoming day. For the first time, the Indian Army will showcase its silent warriors comprising of Bactrian camels and Zanskar ponies from Ladakh at the Republic Day parade on Kartavya Path. The Indian High Commission in Dhaka hosted a reception on Saturday to mark India's 77th Republic Day, highlighting the strong and historic ties between India and Bangladesh. Addressing the gathering, Indian High Commissioner Pranay Verma said India values its long-standing partnership with Bangladesh and recalled India's democratic journey since 1950 and underlined shared history, cultural ties and sacrifices during the 1971 Liberation War. The event was attended by diplomats, government officials, military officers, media and civil society members, reflecting the spirit of friendship and cooperation between the two nations. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with cricket. India will face New Zealand in the third T20I at Guwahati today, aiming to seal the 5-match series after taking a 2-0 lead. The hosts dominated the first two matches, winning by 48 runs in Nagpur and chasing 209 with ease in Raipur, thanks to explosive knocks from Ishan Kishan and Suryakumar Yadav. With confidence high and batting depth on display, India looks set to continue their momentum ahead of T20 World Cup. New Zealand, led by Mitchell Santner, will fight to stay alive in the series and avoid a clean sweep. India topped Group B of the ICC Under-19 World Cup 2026 after a 7-wicket win over New Zealand in Zimbabwe. Opting to bowl first, a rain-shortened 37-over contest, India dismissed New Zealand for 135. RS Ambrish saw out with 4-wicket haul for 29 runs, while Henil Patel added 3 wickets. Despite a late Kiwi fight back, India's chase was decisive. Captain Ayush Matre smashed 53 of 27 balls and Vaibhav Suryavanshi hit 40 of 23 in a 76-run stand that sealed victory inside 14 overs. India, unbeaten in the group stage, now move into the Super 6, beginning against Zimbabwe on Tuesday with a marquee clash against Pakistan set for February 1st. And today marks the 6th and penultimate day of the first leg of the Khelo India Winter Games in Leh. Medal rounds in short track, long track and relay races will be held in ice skating, while the bronze medal match in men's ice hockey will be played between host Ladakh and ITBP. In the women's ice hockey final, Ladakh will take on ITBP in a repeat of Khelo India Winter Games 2025 title clash. On day 5, seasoned skater from Telangana, Naina Sritalluri, won her first gold medal of Khelo India Winter Games 2026 in women's 500-meter short track event. The 17-year-old also claimed her 4th consecutive gold in 500-meter short track category at the Khelo India Games. Sachin Singh of Haryana was the star performer for his state. He first won the men's 500-meter short track sprint and then went on to help Haryana clinch the gold medal in 3,000-meter short track relay event. Chandigarh produced the biggest upset of the game so far by defeating host Ladakh in men's ice hockey semi-final on Saturday. The Chandigarh men's team stunned one of the tournament favourites, Ladakh, with a thrilling 3-2 victory, leaving spectators in awe. Chandigarh came from a goal down to score 3 unanswered goals through a brace by Gurtej Singh Bhatti to script a remarkable victory. Earlier in the day, the Chandigarh women's team won the bronze medal in ice hockey after defeating Himachal Pradesh 4-3 in extra time. The 5,000 capacity NDS Stadium was packed to the brim as the first men's ice hockey semi-final between Army and ITBP got underway. In what was virtually a final before Monday's title clash, Army defeated their arch rivals ITBP 2-0 to book a place in the final against Chandigarh. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.